Welcome to Lead Today with me, Kalyna. Let's talk leadership. Oh, hey, glad to be back with you today on this lovely evening for another episode of the show. We're in episode 2 of this series, which is about my book, Memorable Lessons to Leave a Legacy. Today, we're talking about purpose. Before we dive in, I just want to remind you that if you enjoy this show, want to support my work, a very cost-effective way to do that is to donate a cup of coffee. So there's a link to do that. It essentially allows me to grab new equipment, keep spending time on this. It really does make a difference. We've had donations from $4 to $20 to $200, and it really helps for me to be able to get a mic and have nice equipment to be able to record this for you, and also supports me, my efforts. So if you'd like to do that, please do just click the link in the show notes to support this show. So let's embark upon chapter 2. If you're new to this series, we're talking about my book, which the aim of is to support you to build a meaningful legacy through your work. And what legacy means to me is what you leave behind, what you leave others feeling, what you've created, how it is that you impact the world. And that can be in big ways, meaning impacting many. That can be in seemingly smaller ways, like spending the time to have a one-on-one chat with someone. People's lives are forever changed with just, one sentence of encouragement sometimes. So just knowing that when I say impact or contribution, those words don't mean you have to change millions of people's lives. It can be in being a stay-at-home mom and really caring for your one child that goes on to impact others. So there's always this kind of spiral effect. And I think that many of us question our purpose in the world because, well, our minds tell us so many different things, right? I mean, in a different season in your life, or if you have different strengths or weaknesses, it can be really tough to sort of identify, okay, why am I here? And this chapter really seeks to look at that and address that with you. Again, remembering that one section of this book is literally called Ask Yourself at the end of every chapter. So reinforcing to you that if you do choose to read the book, or even in this series, I'm not going to tell you your purpose in life from a podcast episode, and nobody can tell you your purpose in life from a book or discern it for you. Because the thing is that depending on what your beliefs are, whether you believe in fate or that your path is predestined or that you are impacting it, no matter which side of the table you sit on, the reality is that no one else can do it for you. You have to walk this path. You have to create this adventure that is life. You get to create it. You get to go down the path and open different doors or choose not to. And you get to deal with the suffering of it, your unique suffering and your unique opportunities and gifts.
This episode would not be possible without Anchor. It's free and the easiest way to make a podcast. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
When we talk about purpose in life, it's sort of an interesting word because people will do personality assessments or they'll come to a coaching session with me and they want the answers. Tell me what my purpose is. Tell me what to do. Tell me what I'm good at. Tell me, show me. And I think that's why, as very externally seeking individuals, which isn't always a bad thing, and it's a human need, right, to belong and to be involved in the world and with others. I'm not acting or trying to even begin to pretend that I'm above that in any sense. What I'm trying to say here is yes, external reference points and getting that external feedback is good. But at the end of the day, you have to walk this adventure to carve out your purpose. It's not like a one size fits all thing, even for you, right? We grow, our bodies grow and change throughout our life. So does what we're here to do, what we're called to do in the different seasons of our lives. So I think that's really important to consider. And oh, as another reminder, the book is out in December of this year. So if you didn't catch the last episode, I'm supposed to remind you of that, remind myself of that. The book comes out early December. There will be links shared and ways for you to engage with that and share about it, and hopefully grow a bit of an accountability group for yourself as you go through the book, so that you've got some support. I talked about this in the last episode, but want to make sure that I reiterate how important I think it is to go through this book with someone else that wants more out of life too, because you're going to go further with discussing the questions, deliberating the questions, taking action, holding each other accountable when you bring someone else into the ring with you. So, something to consider. This book and this chapter in particular, I think, is really for anybody who does want more out of their work, might be feeling a bit lost, might be feeling a bit stuck, wants a sense of meaning or purpose, wants to be driven by something. Maybe you wake up not really wanting to get out of bed. I've definitely had those times in my life where my sense of purpose and what it is that I'm here to do has been called in question, that I'm questioning it, and that I'm sort of seeking more, seeking an answer, looking to other people, resources. I'm looking externally to get that answer. And so I think if you're in that place of wanting clarity around your purpose, I think this chapter is definitely for you. And I think we're really answering the question of why. So, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why are things important to me? In the mentors table section of the book, we look at some of Simon Sinek and James Clear, both of their work. Um, and we look at this from an identity based perspective. So, who do you want to be? The way that this whole book is laid out is not about ticking boxes of accomplishments or achievements, right? The whole book is laid out to be about character building, really. And so that's the way we approach purpose. You derive purpose from who you're being day in and day out. So, who is that person? So we look at it that way, and a bit about my story around purpose as well, which I think is great, and really emphasizing the idea that a lot of us meander around and get that feeling of being lost or feeling ungrounded because we're chasing those external things, and we're not listening to where we're being called to go. We're kind of chasing and outsourcing it to other people or other authorities or expectations, societal expectations, rather than really getting in touch with ourselves, which we'll do in the next chapter on awareness. Really getting in touch with ourselves and saying, okay, what is it that I feel called to go toward? Where do I feel called to improve, spend time, give my focus? Awareness, and a later chapter down the road called focus, we'll get deeper into those bits. But really, I think this chapter is in answering sort of your why and getting clear on that, so that you can continue through the book with a sense of the word purpose, of course, comes up for me. Meaning, again, we get into fulfillment in part two. But I think this chapter, more importantly than any others, is really to answer the question for yourself of who do you want to be? Because that's how you will sort out and figure out your purpose. Because your purpose, actually, it's very difficult to know your whole purpose of your whole life until the end of your life when you look back on it, right, in retrospect, and say, wow, this is what I came here to do. Here are all the things I did. So I think the process of finding your purpose is actually in being very present in the unfolding of your story and taking that one step at a time further as things are being revealed to you. We want to know the whole story. But of course, if someone gave you the certainty of your whole story, you probably would be very bored with your life if you knew how every single day for the rest of your life would go. It wouldn't be great. It wouldn't be, you wouldn't probably sign up for that. If I told you, okay, I'll give you the whole movie summary, now go watch the movie. If I told you every single thing, every single surprise, or every single moment beforehand, you might watch it still, but it wouldn't be with the same enthusiasm or excitement as if you really went in and were taking things as they come. And so I think that's also something that I want to convey in this chapter, which is one step at a time. I think the whole book says this, but particularly here, who do I want to be? How do I embody that one step at a time? So that's what you can answer for yourself as you're here in this episode, thinking about your purpose. And there are lots more questions in the episode on purpose. It's or the chapter, the chapter of the book on purpose, which is chapter 2. There's a lot more around delving into the how of this. So I think that that's a question to leave you with for this episode. That's a little bit about chapter 2 on purpose. I really hope that you will consider reading. I think what else we're actually getting into before we sign off, this is an important one too, is with that allowing things to be revealed and one step at a time, right? The difference there is enforcing versus really asking and listening, right? So that allowing things to unfold and being open to them to unfold and listening for answers and guidance and looking for those answers and guidance rather than the forcing energy. And so I think that's really important too around this chapter is, are you forcing the career that you're in, the life that you're in? I've definitely had those moments in my life. I've definitely had those moments in writing this book and this podcast where I want to force my purpose and my why. And yet I can't. You can't. We can't force the why. I think it's being revealed to us every day. And I think we need our work, as I said in the last episode, still is to be mindful of and control our thoughts and our actions. And so when it comes to purpose, that means being mindful of our thoughts if we're forcing, pushing, or if we're asking and listening and looking for our purpose, allowing it to be revealed step by step, taking it step by step, and really getting curious about who we want to be and how our purpose can come from that. It comes from our innate interests and innate what we're innately drawn to and innately find important through our life, from our life experiences, from what's always been important to you. We're called to things, right? We're called and drawn to different endeavors, different projects, different people. There's just this, it's almost like a magnetic pull, right? When there's someone across the room that you just have to talk to, you just see them and you know, like, I have to talk to this person. They're almost burning a hole in my face with the way they look at me or their smile. Like I'm just so enchanted. And I think it's the same thing. It's sort of learning to identify those things. What's drawing you in for this season of your life? Because as we have to acknowledge, our purpose changes throughout the course of our life. So it's definitely in being aware that your purpose today might not be the same as your purpose in a few years from a daily standpoint. And so it's really more about a mindset shift of who do you want to be and character building and hearing the call versus this is my purpose here on this earth and I need to know that now in order to be able to act. I need certainty. You don't need certainty. You need willingness. And that's a big shift that I think we talk about throughout the whole book, actually, going from wanting certainty to really focusing on being willing to go through this adventure, which is life. So I hope that gives you a bit more to go off of and some questions to think about when it comes to defining and learning about what your purpose is in the world today and going forward, and maybe reflecting on what it's been in the past. And if you'd like more on purpose, please do check out the book, Memorable, by me, of course. And I will see you in the next episode on chapter 3, which is about awareness. So cultivating personal awareness and the different types of awareness. So I hope you'll join me in the next episode where we get into a bit about that. Talk soon.